child, when someone asked you your age, you would have said, "I'm 4," and added "and a half." We didn't want anyone to think that we were only 4. We had traveled so far in those few months, but then again, we were modest enough to sense that the huge dignity of turning 5 was still quite far away. It would nowadays sound a touch mad for an adult to say proudly, "I'm 25 and a half," or 41 and 3/4, because usually, without noticing, we've drifted away from the notion that adults too are capable of evolutions. In today's video, I want to share with you an excerpt from a book that's by one of my favorite philosophers, TED speakers, and actually the founder of this organization called the School of Life, which is based here in London. His name is Alain de Botton. He is a Swiss-born British philosopher. But here's a book by him. It's called The School of Life and Emotional Education, and it's introduced by Alain de Botton. And it's actually a great compilation of some of the thinking of this org. And so this is actually a personalized signed copy. It's very special to me. I met him last year at an event. What I wanted to do today was talk to you about one specific excerpt here, which actually talks about self-help. It is notable that within the upper echelons of culture, there is no genre more maligned or discredited than self-help, he says. The entire self-help category has become synonymous with sentimentality, idiocy, and hucksterism. The book covers are frequently garish, and the promise is overblown. This is true. But to dismiss the idea that underpins self-help, that one might at points stand in urgent need of solace and emotional education, seems an austerely perverse prejudice. I love how he speaks of this as a point in time in which you're in urgent need of comfort and a compass and an education. And I think that acknowledgement as human beings is quite important. But let's go on. Ancient Greek and Roman culture recognized and honored our needs with greater dignity. The noblest minds, Aristotle, Epicurus, all turned their hands to what were unmistakably works of self-help. The applied philosophical tradition in which they operated continued beyond the fall of Rome. And then he gives a couple of examples of, how in history, Romans and Greeks philosophers have actually alluded to self-help. The problem should not, therefore, be assumed to lie with the idea of self-help per se, only with the manner in which the genre has, in modern times, been interpreted and explored. In reality, there could be few more serious tasks for any literary work than guiding and consoling and weakening the hold that confusion and error have on us. I mean, the way he writes is usually a little bit, dense and twisted, but the thought and the insight is just, it's quite something. The idea that the human condition fundamentally needs an emotional compass and needs assistance, I think is beautiful. Now there's a second paragraph here about self-development. As children, we were hugely conscious of the rapidity and intensity of human development. What a great thought, right? And you can see where this is going. Development as an adult becomes largely synonymous with promotion. Now there's no simple outward measure. We're no taller, we've not boosted our seniority at work necessarily over the years, and we've received no new title to confirm our graduation to the world. Yet there have been changes nevertheless. We may, over 2 sleepless nights, have entirely rethought our attitude towards envy, or come to an important insight about the way we behave when someone compliments us. We may have made a momentous step in self-forgiveness or resolved one of the riddles of a romantic relationship. These quiet but very real milestones don't get marked. We're not given a cake or a present to mark the moment of growth. But inside, privately, we might harbor a muffled hope that some of our evolutions will be properly prized. As children, of course, the rate of growth is much faster because of this, mathematically speaking, a low base effect. And when we grow older, that rate of growth could slow, but it doesn't reduce to nothing. We're still growing. And if not physically, if not in tangible, externally visible terms, we're still growing emotionally. The difference between a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old is and should be tremendous in terms of what you've learned about the world, about yourself, about your emotional capacity, cognitive capacity, and so on. And so self-help, self-development, self-improvement is an acknowledgement of the fact we are continuously growing and we need assistance to develop once we're out of school and once we no longer have a syllabus to guide us. Well, hopefully you found this interesting. Highly recommend this book, The School of Life. I'm going to link it below. The main premise of this book is that emotional education doesn't stop and should not stop. And so this is, Alain de Botton's effort to reintroduce or introduce a topic that is often ignored in our culture and education and work life. I'm hoping that you will continue to invest in your self-improvement and self-help and actually leverage all these great works that thinkers in the world have put together. Thanks again for watching. More next time.